And after a long absence, I am back with Ed Reviews, and it is time to review Wonder Woman, this summer's early superhero spectacular. As I mentioned, I'm Ed Bo. This is Ed Reviews. Let's get right into it. Okay, so this is Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, who does a spectacular job in the first movie I've ever seen of hers, or that I knew was of hers. But it's an excellent movie, well directed. She did a great job. She's working from a very good script by Alan Heinberg. He was one of the people who wrote the story. Um, what's his name? Zack Strider. Um, did what is his name? Snyder. Zack Snyder. Snyder helped write the story. There's another person whose name I don't remember off the top of my head. Sorry, guy, but I'm not gonna look it up at this point. Um, it is a superhero film and a World War II film, and it's pretty good at both. It is, of course, set in the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU, and it is being heralded as the film we've all been waiting for. And in a lot of ways, it is. Um, so the principal characters are Diana Prince as Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, and Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine. Uh, in this film, Chris Pine plays a Steve Trevor who's a World War One soldier instead of a World War Two soldier. And you also have, I don't know the actress's name, but you have a memorable performance as by this woman as Etta Candy, who is Steve Trevor's secretary, who's apparently a classic character from the comic books, but one that's way before my time. Your principal villains throughout the film are there's a German general whose name I didn't remember. He wasn't that memorable a villain. And there's a German scientist whose name I did remember. She's slightly more memorable, known both as Dr. Maru and Dr. Poison. And that's why you remember her. She's got a fancy supervillain name. Um, they're both integral to part of the plot of the film. There's essentially two things going on. There's a natural world thing happening, the actual war, and there's a supernatural thing happening, the sacred mission of the Amazons, and the reason why Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, comes into the world of man to fight. She comes into the world of man to fight a supernatural evil, and that is, you know, that's a somewhat separate plot. Um, there are some spoilers, so I can't get too far into it, but it works. Not really two separate movies. It's not disjointed in any way, but there are two sets of villains. Um, so, in the beginning, we have a fairly engaging introduction to Princess Diana of Themyscira, the princess of the Amazons, the only Amazon child, because Amazons, in case you didn't know, are immortal. Um, and you have an introduction to who the Amazons are in this mythology. They have a purpose, they have a sacred purpose, a sacred duty, what that duty is. You have an introduction to Steve Trevor is and exactly what his duty is and what his mission is in the World War II plot of the film. It's very well done. It is fairly fast paced while simultaneously not skimping on character development or glossing over plot points. It's a very well done film. The act two, the middle of the film, it's not just a great superhero film, which it is, but it is also a fairly good war film or anti-war film, as the case may be, because World War One was a pretty nasty war, and this film does not gloss over that detail. It's not a movie that glorifies warfare at all. Um, then the ending. Now, most of the ending, especially the things that have to do with the World War One plot of the film, just as excellent as the rest of the film. However, the superhero slash supernatural stuff, the final battle is a little bit too Dragon Ball Z for me. In other words, it gets away from melee and comes down to two people with immense power throwing energy at each other. And that will always be less exciting to me than seeing people use their hands and mix it up or use their weapons and mix it up. And so I was not greatly let down by it, but a little bit let down by it. In conclusion, the upside of the film, it is well paced, it is well acted, it's action packed, it has a great story, it has interesting secondary characters who do not waste their screen time. And everyone has a backstory. Everyone has an interesting backstory, and it all means something. And that's hard to do in a film like this. Um, and the downside, it has some similarities to Captain America, the First Avenger, not enough to really drag the film down in any way. It has a little bit too much of the slow motion stuff that you see in the trailers. That happens a little bit too often. I mean, it happens a lot in the film. It is overused. And as I mentioned before, the final showdown was a little bit too Dragon Ball Z-ish for me. It may not be for everyone, but for me it was. So the final score. Normally, I would be debating whether I'm going to give this film a full 5 stars or a 4.5 stars. But after thinking it through, I realized that the actual score of this film is 4 and 3 quarter stars. This is a 4.75 film. Now, I previously never gave quarter stars before, but because of this film, I'm going to start now. So my final score for Wonder Woman, 4.75. It just misses being a perfect 5-star film because I'm not crazy about the way the final battle went down. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you really like this video, hit the subscribe button. And if you really, really like this video, share it with your friends. I'm Ed Bo. Thanks for watching.